Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and no, I am not going to kick off the debut episode of this show with something so old, so tired, so worn out, so overused as that circus ringmaster's intro. Unfortunately, I don't have anything else. Not at the moment. Give me time. But until I do figure something out, why not just keep it simple? So, how about this? Welcome to the Bygone Room, and welcome to Yesteryear and Beyond. Now hit my intro! Alright, once again, welcome to the Bygone Room and welcome to Yesteryear and Beyond. Now, I know you're probably wondering, what is this show about? And you're also probably wondering, what the heck is a Bygone Room? Alright, I'm going to hit those one at a time. And it's actually pretty simple. It's, alright, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I know I have to address something. Before I can continue, I know I have to pretty much be transparent here and just completely open about it. I really feel the need to address the elephant in the room. Alright? And it's a pretty big elephant. It's what you're all wondering, I'm sure. You're all wondering, why oh why, is there a copy, an original copy of the 1980 TSR, Dungeons and Dragons, Deities and Demigods Cyclopedia, sitting right here on my table? What's it doing here? Well, you know what? there is a story behind this. Just like there is a story behind everything that I'm going to present to you at some point. This book right here, this is my original book, purchased back in 1980. And before I get to this, because this is a very special book to me, I actually thought that the book had been lost. Just lost to time. During various moves when I was younger, things got put away, things got stored in boxes, things got shifted around, things got ruined in floods, and I thought this was gone. And this is a very special book for me. But before I can get to this, I need to take you back to 3rd grade. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, 3rd grade. How long is this story going to be? It's not going to be that long. It really isn't. You'll be surprised. But I need to give this some context. You see, back in 3rd grade, I was friends with actually my very first childhood friend. His name is Kevin. And you're going to hear a little more about Kevin in future episodes. Because he was a rather important part of my early childhood, at least for a brief time. But I was friends with Kevin, and we had actually became friends the year earlier in 2nd grade. But in 3rd grade, well, we started becoming almost best friends. You know, you're always hanging out with each other. And one day in class, I noticed that he was drawing, he was doing some drawings. And these what he was drawing is these were guys, but it looked like they were wearing dresses, okay? And I was sitting there like, I was sitting next to him, because we sat next to each other. And I'm looking over at him, and I said, Kev, what is that? Why are you drawing a guy with a beard, and why is he wearing a dress and sandals? And that's when he said, that's not a guy. That's not a guy in a dress. He said, that's a god. And I said, a god? He goes, yeah. He said, that's Hephaestus. I said, Hephaestus who? And he said, Hephaestus. He's the god of fire in Greek mythology. Okay, now he already had me blown right there, completely out of the water. I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking, God of what? Because, you know, hey, in my upbringing, there's only one God. And he's saying this is the God of fire. And, you know, I couldn't wrap my head around that. But then, as we talked more, he said, oh no, you know how we believe in God? We believe in the one God? He said, well, and no, trust me, this isn't going to become one of those kind of, I'm not going to drag you into some kind of religious thing here. I'm just giving you context based on my upbringing. And but anyway, back to this. He said that you know how we believe in one God. Well, in ancient times, the Greeks and the Romans, and I was with them on those because I knew about those kind of sorta, and the Egyptians and the Norse. Okay, that's where he lost me when he said Norse. But when he said that, he brought up those, but he said, well, they believe in their own gods, not just one God, but they believe in God, lots of gods. And then he threw me even more when he said, and not just gods, goddesses, women. I said, wait a minute, hold on. So you're saying that these people believed that there were more than one God, and there were men and women who had, I guess, powers or something like that? And he says, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And each god and goddess was kind of like they had power and control over over at least one thing. Like you'd have a god of the sun. You would have a god of the dead. You would have a goddess of the hearth and home. You would have the goddess of marriage. You would have the goddess of love. You would have the god of love. And on it went. Well, then he explained to me that his dad was really, really, really into mythology. I had never met his dad before, but Kev always told me that his dad, really great guy, and he was really, really smart, and he knew all kinds of things about ancient Rome and ancient Greece and ancient history. And so he asked me, one day if I'd like to come over and, spend the weekend over there, and he'd show me his dad's mythology books that were in his library. And I said, hey, that'd be great. That's awesome. So, to cut through all the details of it all, eventually that weekend came, because what I was just telling you about took place early in the week. So I couldn't wait until the weekend came. Weekend comes, we get there. He shows me his dad's personal library in his office, in his den, and it was really good. I could not get over all these books. Some of these books, they looked like they had just like let's say you walked into the public library and you had all these beautifully bound books. Their spines were in pristine condition with gold leaf lettering going down the spine, and these were in fantastic shape. Well, anyhow, Kev went ahead and he pulled a couple of books off the shelf, and one was called Bullfinch's Mythology, and then he had another, and this was completely different. It didn't even look like an adult book. That's because it really wasn't. The other one was this almost a tabloid size book, and it was called Yesteryear's Book of Greek Myths. Now, anyone that's read this will understand it's for children. It really is, but adults can get wrapped up in it too. And come to find, it was one of Kev's dad's favorite books. And in it you see all these illustrations, and these were the pictures that Kev was getting his drawings from. He was getting his ideas for his drawings from, because he was drawing out all the gods and goddesses and all the characters. Well, that started a love affair for me with mythology. Because it was no different in a way than reading comic books. It really wasn't. It was just, they were adventures. There were stories and adventures, and these people had powers. So it was a great trip to take. And I was on a ride for a very long time, and I've still been on that ride. And I still like to read a lot of those books. I do. But after a while, I had pretty much exhausted everything in Kev's dad's library. I read everything. I would go over to his house almost every weekend or every other weekend until those books were exhausted. Now, see, I couldn't take them home. That was the thing. I had to read while I was there. So there was a lot of quiet time. But, I'd come over there and he's pulling out his comic books, or he's sitting there doing his drawing, and I'm sitting there just reading, just devouring everything that's going on in these books. And a lot of these books were books, meant for high school, college age readers. I'm in 3rd grade. Well, so it kind of helped to expand my vocabulary and my comprehension. But anyhow, the books that I was reading really helped to expand my imagination. And I could just imagine I could see all the, because it was just, a lot of it was just text. There's no comic books. It wasn't like the Delaire's Book of Greek Myths, where you did have some illustrations. Every so often you might see some illustrations, like in Bullfinches you would see this really beautiful artwork, but it'd be maybe a page here and there, but it wasn't every single page. But I can just imagine all these things really happening, as I'm reading them. And it was absolutely fascinating. So I was completely consumed with reading about the ancient gods and goddesses of Greece and Rome and Egypt, and boy were those crazy. And then also the Norse. And sometime a little bit later that year, maybe with about 3 or 4 months, I went with my father to the mall, where there used to be a bookstore called B. Dalton Books. And he would take me with him. He would go there. First he would go to the cafe next door and sit there and have a coffee. I would already go to the bookstore, and I'd flip through the spinner rack and read the comic books. But one day I wandered down an aisle down to the back of the bookstore, and I'm just flipping through I'm kind of going through, browsing the spines of all the different books, and I came across a section called Fantasy, and then it said Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Wow, this is cool. This is neat. And I saw something that said Monster Manual, and then I saw something that said it was, I can't remember the handbook it was, but see, I hadn't gotten into Dungeons and Dragons yet at that point. That would come about a year later, maybe a year and a half later. But then popping out, just like this, right here, I saw this spine. Alright? I saw where it said Advanced D&D, Deities and Demigods Cyclopedia. Pulled it out, looked at this cover, had no idea who these people were. But it was amazing. And then I opened it up, and then we see this, and we see the artwork, and the artwork being very reminiscent of comic book art, very good comic book art illustrations. I was drawn in immediately. So then I started going through this, and I didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but I did know about the different myths. And see, right here, one of the ones I found pretty quickly, Greek mythos. Well, yeah, mythos, same as myths, but Greek mythos. And right there, King of the Gods, Zeus. I looked at that illustration, I thought, oh, that is so awesome, I wish I could draw just like that. And then, of course, I saw Aphrodite, and unfortunately, I think it was one of the first times I'd seen a topless woman. But she was just a drawing, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And then you had Apollo. And in alphabetical order, it just goes further and further into it. And as you flip through this book is so fantastic. Even if you didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, even didn't play the game like I did yet, and you didn't understand what a lot of this stuff was, like the armor class and the moves, the hit points, and the number of attacks, damage attack. And if you just taking all that out of it, just reading the bios on each of the characters in here, like right here, we're in the Egyptian myths, right? Before I continue with that, take a look at that illustration that leads into the Egyptian mythos. That is absolutely amazing. I couldn't get over that. And But it was through this book that I was introduced to not just the ones that I was already familiar with, but we're talking about Sumerian myths, Chinese myths, American Indian myths, and of course Norse mythology. There's so much to this book. Well, anyhow, I would sit there the entire time. So while Dad was in there having his coffee, I was sitting there just sitting Indian style in the back right corner of B. Dalton Books, and I'm sitting here reading this, just wishing I could have it, And I'm trying to see how much it cost at the time. I don't know if it's going to tell me. No, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to tell me. But needless to say, it was more than what my father was willing to pay. And I know my mom wouldn't have been too thrilled about coming home with this at whatever the price was at the time. That was the main thing. He said, "No, son," because I'd ask him. He said, "No, son, that's too much." Okay. So every time from that point on, for months, we would go to B. Dalton Book, and I would go to the first go to the spinner rack just to see what kind of comic books they had, and then after that, I would go look to see if there was still a copy of this book on the shelf. There always was one. Okay, there was always at least one. They were selling. I mean, because at first, when I first found them, there was quite a few of these. But then it got to a point there was only one left. Okay, months later, it was getting closer and closer to Christmas, and there was only one left. And I just kept hoping and praying that they wouldn't sell out of this thing, because, I mean, it was almost like I owned it myself, because I knew this book back to front by the time it came down to one of these books left. And so, anyhow, one week came by. I mean, 1 week came, and we went and did the exact same thing: spinner rack, comic books, then to the back right corner of the bookstore, and I searched for the book, and it was gone. There were no more. There was quite a few of the other books that they had for Dungeons and Dragons, the Monster Manual and the other ones I can't think of right now, but Deities and Demigods was sold out. So I went up to the front and I asked, "Do you have any more of these?" And unfortunately, the person went ahead and told me that no, and they didn't plan on getting any more in. So I was really, really down. In fact, I was down for about 2 weeks. And then, Dad would ask if, "Son, let's go. You want to come to the bookstore with me?" And even though I liked looking at the comic books, and every so often Dad would he'd buy me one or two, but I just didn't have the enthusiasm anymore. I mean, my book was gone. That's it. It's gone. So I passed on it a couple of times. I was like, no, that's okay, Dad. I'll just stay home. And then one day I went, and reluctantly went, and did the same sequence. Looked at the spinner rack, found some comics. My dad even bought me a couple. And then I went back to where the D&D books were, and this was not there. And I just walked outside into the mall itself and sat outside the cafeteria and just waited for my dad. I didn't even want to stay there anymore, for Dad to want to go in there. So when Dad got done with his coffee, he saw me sitting there. He said, "Well, son, how come you're not in there looking at the books?" And I said, "I found everything I wanted to find." And my D&D book's not there anymore. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." I said, "Well, You just want to sit out here then? And well, actually, he said, you want to sit out here then, or you just want to come in there with me and maybe pick out a couple of comic books, and then if you want to stay in there or come back out here and sit while he goes and looks at what he wants to look at. And a lot of times he would look at either gun magazines or magazines about cars. And so he did. He went ahead and he bought me a couple comic books, and I sat there out in the mall and read those, waiting for him. And then we went home, and I really didn't want to go anymore after that. Well, it was only about a week before the Christmas holiday break. And I just couldn't get this thing out of my head. I really couldn't. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, my gosh, you're some kind of nutcase for obsessing about a book. Well, back then, 3rd grade, hey, this kind of became my world here for some crazy reason, but it sure did. And yes, I did have all those other mythology books. I mean, I could go to the public library and I could look at the mythology books there. Couldn't take them home. Well, I could rent out a few. Check out a few, bring them home, and I did. But I don't know, for some strange reason, this one right here, this drew me in so much more than the others. And they're not even full stories technically. I mean, not really. They're just bios. They're just biographies, short biographies explaining each of the characters. Well, Christmas came, and I'm sure you know where this is leading. You can tell right now where this is heading, and it is. Well, I needless to say that opened my gifts, and it was just like any other Christmas. It was nice gifts, and I was happy. I was appreciative. I got toys, and I got clothing, socks, and underwear, and stuff like that. But kind of reminiscent to that movie, A Christmas Story. Where at the very end, where all the gifts have been opened, and everyone's just sitting there and just laying around, lounging, sleeping, and then Ralphie is just kind of meh about the whole thing, because he knows he didn't get his Red Ryder BB gun. Well, and then afterwards, his dad surprises him with that BB gun. Well, my father, he said, "Well, son, did you enjoy everything you got for Christmas?" And I said, "Yeah, Dad." I said, I thanked him, I thanked my mother, it was just like any other Christmas, basically. But he said, "Well, son, we got one more thing for you." I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "I've been wanting you to have this for a little while, so I hope you enjoy it." And it was a box about this big. About this big, like this, okay? And I'm thinking, okay, and it was kind of light. She was pretty light. I'm shaking it around. I couldn't even make out what was in it. And so, okay, I opened it up. And then that box led to a second box. And then that box led to a third box. And then that box led to a manila envelope, which was wrapped up. And in that big manila envelope was Deities and Demigods. Dad had grabbed the last copy because he knew how much I loved reading it. And for that, I will always, always be grateful to my father for that. That's that's why this book is so special to me. Because not only did I get so into what I was reading in here, but also that my father went ahead and was able to rescue the final copy that bookstore had. He also recognized how much I enjoyed this thing. Now, again, I said this thing went missing, and it did. It went missing for a long, long time. My gosh, probably over 15 years or more. I even purchased a copy of this, which is somewhere around here, I believe. But I purchased a second copy of it when I found that there was one available online. And but it never would be the same. Never. I mean, my mother actually has my name written in here and the grade I was in when I have the book. It's just a very special book to me. So the other book, you know, like anything you buy that you might have lost or given away or sold, and then you have this really strong nostalgic feeling for it. Well, that's how I felt. And so I just had to have a copy of it. And after I got it and I read it, I was back in 3rd grade all over again. And then one day, when I was, after both of my parents had died, I was clearing out their outdoor garage, and in a box I found a bunch of other old things of mine, and stuff down deep in there, because it was a big box, about 4 foot high. There was this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And sure enough, I had to open it up just to make sure, oh my gosh, is my name in there? And sure enough, there's my name, there's my grade, and there's my school that my mother had written, however you want to put it. And I was overjoyed. I just couldn't believe it. So this is a very, very special book in my collection. Let's see if I can slide this bag in here without knocking things over. All right. Hey, what do you know? I was able to pull that one off, huh? So, now let's get back to the initial question that I'd raised, that you were probably thinking, what is this all about? This. No, this whole show is not about a book. It's about everything I just told you. It's about everything that I just relayed to you. It's about nostalgia. It's about something that belongs to me, that I have a personal history with. That's what Yesteryear and Beyond is about. So I know I've exhausted a lot of your time here. And because of that, I'm going to take a break. And after the break, we'll have more of Yesteryear and Beyond. So, as the old commercial used to go, after this message, I'll be right back. Yeah!
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully. He may see bad guys, but not in the role of heroes. And he'll learn that crime doesn't pay. Because your child's welfare is our concern, too. That's part of our code. The code of the National Association of Broadcasters for television and the greater public interest.
Old comic books. Read you some.
It's the Oldsmobile factory whistle. Day and night it calls Oldsmobile workers to Oldsmobile's #1 job. Production for national defense. Shell for the Army Artillery. and automatic cannon for America's fighting planes. But to serve the vital needs of today's America, Oldsmobile goes still further. Oldsmobile contributes the B-44. Better looking, better lasting, better built than any car in Old's 44-year history. The Oldsmobile B-44, offered in 5 separate series. The 66 and 8, the 76 and 8, and the great 8-cylinder 90. All are Oldsmobile through and through, styled to stand out and designed to stand up.
Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling 2 3-4 Budokan. Alright, if you just go from this point and you hit start, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to this screen. And this, yes, I have no idea what all of this is, and unfortunately I have not found a translation that will help me. However, just playing around with it, I realized that you have the ability to create your own 5-match card. Okay, so as far as I've been able to figure out, you can switch between singles and tag team matches. I haven't done a whole lot because I really just don't want to get bogged down in research. But once I figured out how to do the cards, I just did whatever was basic and whatever was the easiest thing for me. So if you have this, you want to play around with it more, you want to do some more of the research yourself, be my guest. Feel free to do so. Now, if you want to do other things than just do a custom card, you will go back to the screen. You'll go down to options, and then you'll hit start there. And this is where it gets a little interesting. Okay, so this first one, you have the opportunity to participate in a tournament for the singles championship. This is a tournament for the tag team titles. That one I'm not certain of. It looks to me, if I remember, if I remember my watching this, it almost looks like it's the Triple Crown, but I'm not certain about that one. Right here, this is just a regular versus one-on-one, and I think I haven't done it since I first played this game, but I believe you can actually do a tag team as well. I'm not certain. Let's see here. This right here, this is a fatal 4-way. This is, you get to choose up to four people and have at it. Now, this one right here, I'm wanting to say that is a round robin tournament, I think. I might be wrong about that. Again, it's been a while since I've tried some of these because I've been so stuck on just doing regular gameplay. But right now, the singles and the tag, and the Fatal 4-Way are my favorites. So that's pretty much it. So now let's get on to a match. Alright, before I start this match, I just want to let you know right off the bat that this screen you will not see unless you lose the match. The only reason I'm using this screen at this point is for the sake of filming it. It looks a lot better starting from this point, and then because you get a rematch. If you lose, you can do a rematch, and that way it moves smoothly into the way the normal progression of it is from the introductions of each wrestler and then into the match itself. So this is a good starting point. So anyhow, this is going to be just a regular singles match between the legend himself, Stan the Lariat Hansen, and one of my personal favorites, Del Wilkes, the Patriot. Most of the time just known as the Patriot. Alright, so let's get this thing started. Okay, I'm telling you, the graphics on here are just great. I really enjoy this. And I like the way the angles are as far as the entrances are. Here comes the Patriot. The spotlight shining on him. It's just awesome. It really is. I love the way that they designed this. And then we have the opposing entrance, and that's going to be Stan Hansen. And as you are about to see, he will be coming in. Like, look at that. He's charging in just like he would have if this was an actual, real life match in All Japan. Except there's one thing missing. He went ahead and he used to swing his bull rope and had a cowbell attached to it. And when he would do that because he was trying to, first of all, he's trying to keep the fans from touching him, because they would just clamor all around him, trying to reach for him and all that. He would just use that, and also it would help his gimmick. It would help to enhance the fact that he was just a major heel. But anyhow, as you saw at the beginning of the match, you saw that graphic at the very beginning of this thing, and it's a beautiful way of starting the match, because it's an exact duplication. I believe it is, because I've gone back and actually watched some of these matches on YouTube, because I've just gotten a little too lazy to go through my entire tape collection and pick things out here and there. So I've just been kind of going through YouTube and finding some of these things. And if you notice, the beginning of these matches will have that amazing graphic of their names. And it's awesome. It really is. It's absolutely great. And now, as you can tell right now, I am taking quite a pounding. The reason I'm taking quite a pounding is because I am not used to actually doing narration while I'm playing a game. So bear with me on that one. So right now, let's see. And we'll see if I can actually win this thing while I'm talking. I'm not certain if that's going to happen or not, but we'll find out. Okay, as you can tell, Hansen is just... Oh, all right. Let's look at it. Look at that. I love the fact that you can reverse an Irish whip, and that right there, that shoulder block, that was just really nice. And unfortunately, I couldn't reverse that. He's probably gonna... no, and he... Okay, this is the second time. I think I'm trying to remember. Did I throw him out of the ring at first, or what? I don't know. You can throw them out of the ring. That's actually how I lost the match on purpose. I threw him out of the ring, and then I stepped out of the ring, and I took a count out. Now, as far as the count outs go, this game has a 10 count, like the American matches, as opposed to a normal 20 count. If you're used to watching Japanese matches, you will notice it will be a 20 count. And look at that. Hansen goes off the ropes, and look at that. At the last second, 2.9 seconds. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to They got 3-point stance. Boom. All right, now I'm getting tired of being ragdolled around here, so I am going to try to get up on that rope. There we go. Okay. And we're going to go for the Patriot missile. All right. But he got up immediately. That shows you that I have taken more damage than he has. And if you good, I backdropped, I reversed. Now, if you notice, there are no meters, no energy meters, and that's great. I think that's a great addition to the game. Actually, if you want to call it a subtraction, because you don't have to. You're not constantly looking at it. You have to feel the match out. You have to feel how everything's going. So, I think that's just a great. I could not backdrop him right there. Yeah, he's loading that. Good, I whipped it. He's just loading that arm up for that lariat. Boom. Okay, so I hit him with another flying shoulder block, and no, he is. Ooh, ha ha ha! But you see, I roll out of the way. But the gameplay, regardless of whether I win or lose, look at that, he just powerbombed me. Can I pull out of this? Can I beat? No, he beat me. Oh well. Maybe next time. And the winner is Stan the Lariat Hansen. And now we go to the screen that you saw at the very beginning. If I would have won this match, I would have been in the top left. He would have been in the bottom right. But if you notice, throughout that match, the crowd, the way they have the crowd, the animation, the movements of the crowd, it's the people who designed this game knew exactly what they were doing. I don't understand why they couldn't get this right in the United States. Around this time, you had the WWF games. You had the ones that I owned personally, which was WWF Raw and WWF Royal Rumble. There was, around the same time, I believe it was WWF Super WrestleMania. They're all basically the same structure. It's just a different venue and also different roster. As far as a total roster, you will see some of the same wrestlers in each game, but that was pretty much the best that you had at that point. Were those WWF games when it came to graphics and gameplay. And please do not get me started on the WCW games at that time. I will definitely bring that to you at some point and show you that the vast differences. WCW was so far behind everything when it came to those games. The designers for the WWF, they were definitely on the ball. But forget about all that. We're getting back to this game. This is great. This is absolutely the game that I wish I would have owned back in 1995. I wish I could have had this back then. I would have had a blast. I probably would have worn the thing completely out. But that never happened. All this time later, I now have an opportunity to play it, and I am constantly playing this off and on. Again, it is a great game. I know I'm basically just kind of being redundant about some of my comments. That's not intentional. It's just the words coming out of my mouth, because those are the thoughts that are in my head. Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling 2 3-4 Budokan is a major 2 thumbs up. And I mean, wow. The only thing is, I wish that the people over at New Japan could have made theirs as good as this one. I will play that one. I will play one of those. That one is, one of those will be Shin Nippon, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling. I will play one of those Shin Nippon games at some point. I will explain the difference, and you'll get the whole idea then. But anyhow,
This was a great game to start out with, in my opinion. To start out the Yesteryear's arcade segment. I hope you enjoyed it. And I guess that's going to be it for now.
Now that you've seen part one of The Rabbit, let's turn to our Westinghouse program and Betty Furness. Hey, listen to this. Well, looks like Betty's getting something real interesting over that old crystal set.
I sure am. And I'm going to let you hear it.
Yes, now you can trade in your old radio, even one with earphones, on a beautiful new Westinghouse television set.
Just imagine being able to get a trade-in allowance on a practically prehistoric model like this when you buy a brand new big-screen Westinghouse television set. Or maybe you have an old crank-up phonograph like this up in your attic. Or perhaps a television set like this with a real small screen. Well, right now, your Westinghouse dealer will give you a bigger-than-ever trade-in allowance on any of these outdated models when you buy a beautiful new Westinghouse television set like this table model, for instance, in a handsome mahogany cabinet with a huge 17-inch screen. Or perhaps you prefer a console, like this Westinghouse Brentwood, with the extra-large speaker for better sound. But whichever style and model you prefer, you're going to want a Westinghouse. And why? Well, for the best answer to that, ask a Westinghouse owner. A recent survey has showed that 7 out of 10 Westinghouse sets sold in the last few months were bought because someone who already owned a Westinghouse set raved about it to a friend or a neighbor. Now, you couldn't ask for a better or a more sincere recommendation than that, could you? You've probably heard the good news that the National Collegiate Athletic Association has chosen Westinghouse to sponsor their televised college football games this fall. So if you can't get to your favorite games in person, see them clearly with no picture waving and no sound distortion on a Westinghouse set. Westinghouse sets really top the market today. And remember that Westinghouse and only Westinghouse bring you the National Collegiate Athletic Association football games. Now, don't forget, if you have an old radio or phonograph or television set, see your Westinghouse dealer. Under the new federal regulations, the chances are that your trade-in allowance will cover the down payment. But, a word to the wise, this liberal offer can't last much longer, so tomorrow, see your Westinghouse dealer. Remember, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
The Bygone Hunter here, and when I'm not reading old comic books, or hunting action figures, or playing old video games, or watching YouTube videos, or just dealing with daily life, I'm creating content for my show, Yesteryear and Beyond, seen exclusively right here on YouTube. Get your eyes on it. America's most depressing toy store, Walmart. And I guess we're gonna go inside to see if it's gonna be feast or famine. Most of the time it's famine, but we'll see if we get lucky. All right, let's see what we have here. We got some Transformers that I don't think anybody really cares much about. I guess I'll just go down one aisle, up the other aisle. Let's see what we have. Turtles. A very constipated Hulk. Let's see what we have over here. And we still have that same Jean Grey. Hallows Eve. I still don't know who that is right now. A lot. An Ultron at $24.83. This Ultron's been here for over a year. Nothing there. Nobody seems to really care about these figures right here. I'm still on the fence on them though. I really am. They don't look too bad, but they are kind of on the cheap side. The price shows it too. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well, we have a Brainiac. That's gonna be a pickup. Blue Beetle, Manga Batman, Kilowog, just dropped something. Not surprising. This has been here for quite some time, and I've been very tempted to find out what the price is, but this box is all beat up. Let's see. Now that's someone I haven't seen for a long time. And the national joke. Lando. And Lando. And like always, and like everyone else always says, where there's Lando, there's Mando. So, it's not an urban myth after all. We have an invisible jet. So, just do a little turnaround. Now that's a little interesting. That's not bad. I have a Roddy Piper with an arm that's completely moved around here. People are wondering, why aren't these selling? Alright, let's see. They got Scarlet in. Do I pull the trigger on that Scarlet? Unbelievable. I'm so tempted. I've been trying to hold out for a Nightcrawler, but
see what's over here. Still no Merman or Stratos cartoon collection figures. Okay, let's see. Wow. He's the one, I believe, that has been so elusive everywhere else. And let's see. Bendy. Yeah, I'm not gonna. That looks like gold dust. At least kind of, sort of. And that's about it. So I'm not even going to bother the other side over there because the Neko Funko area, if you want to call it that, like everyone else seems to be calling it. We're going to go one more quick sweep over here in the turtle section. I'm looking for the comic book versions, that comic book collection, whatever they call it. It's got a black packaging, and I'm not seeing any of it. So, I guess that's going to be it. So, that's going to do it for this toy aisle. Alright, it is time to play another game of Feast or Famine here at Target. So, let's see what they have. Alright. Looks like pretty much still the same old stuff. I cannot believe that's still here. There's Braun. I would get him except for there is a paint application issue. And more of the Avengers. Let's see what else we got. Oh wow. Huh. Cool. Anything down here? Nope. No Joes. Alright, let's try another aisle. Still the same. There's a Fisto. Other than that, nothing special in the Masterverse line. And we still have, oh, those are $11.99. Okay. And Jurassic Park stuff. Well, not a whole lot. So I guess we'll head over to the Necco Funko area. Alright. Doesn't exactly look like... oh, King Kong. Frankenstein. Ah, what do you know? The Count. Ah. One big waste of time. Two big wastes of time. Three big wastes of time. Ah. Oh, I'd sure like to get him before he's gone. Oh, that's a different Alf. These toony terrors, which I just don't get. Oh, will there be a Kirby? Searching for a Kirby. Baxter, which is about to fall. And nope, no Kirby. Well, boy, it does not want to go up on there. Well, that's it. No. Okay. Here. You have got to be kidding. This set right here. That's really glared, but that's nuts. Absolutely insane. Anything down here? Big She-Hulk. I'm not really into the poops here, so we'll just walk away from this because the diarrhea section. I'll call it the diarrhea section because it's the Funko Poops section. I just don't understand these things. They're just ugly. I don't get it. I never will get it. For the people who like these ugly things, I mean, from the neck down, nice little statue, nice little figure. The heads, just awful. I've tried to understand it. Now for a character like that, not so bad. But for normal faces, normal heads, nah, I just don't get that. Aretha Franklin, yeah, I'm sure she would be real proud to know she looks like that. All right, well, that's it.
I've seen hundreds of accidents on the freeway, and cars have been totaled and people just walked away from them without...
One driver in 4 is involved in an auto accident each year.
Oh, I couldn't be bothered. They're too confining.
I suppose a day doesn't go by that I don't get in the
And
car.
many of the ones who had accidents also had good excuses for not wearing safety belts.
I don't know. I never use them just to go shopping. Besides, they wrinkle my dress.
Some excuses are good for broken bones and skull fractures.
Around town, they feel uncomfortable. And I like to relax when I drive.
There are 1,000,001 excuses for not wearing safety belts. Some are real killers.
The big idea, if you've got time enough to swing it, is to shield yourself by thick, strong, heavy material like reinforced concrete from the A-bomb's blast. And heat. Do that, and you'll also be protecting your hide from its radiations. A lot of people, including you men fairly new to the service, got the notion that radiations are like the double whammy turned on by Evil Eye Flegel, the comic strip character. Irresistible, I mean. Well, you're wrong. They're mighty penetrating and deadly, but they can be stopped. Authorities know exactly what it takes. Just what thickness of steel, concrete, or wood will do the trick. But you're no authority. Even if you were, you haven't got your tape measure or calipers with you. Even if you had them, you wouldn't have time to use them. You're just a guy trying to get along. And fast. A heavy wall between you and the source of the blast will cut off most of the radiation barrage. But you don't know where the source will be. And radiations can scatter and bounce off the air the way a basketball bounces off the backboard. What you want, then, is a spot that shields you above and all around. That's if you can find it without wasting time.
Presenting the case of the littering lambs.
Remember, kids, don't be a dirty bird. Give a hoot. Don't pollute.
If this is your idea of what a comic shop is like, think again. Welcome to Flying Colors, Comics, and Other Cool Stuff. Our award-winning store is full of fun for the entire family, with Contra Costa's best array of comics from the Golden Age on up to today's favorites. Plus, you'll find trading cards, toys, gifts, and like we said, other cool stuff. Register today to win in our monthly Cool Stuff contest, Flying Colors, Comics, and Other Cool Stuff. Remember, when it happens in comics, it happens in flying colors.
welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Yesteryear and Beyond, right here from the Bygone Room. Now, if you have made it this far, I want to commend you for your resiliency, and I do want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in to this single host for as long as you have, because I know you have so many options out there, so many. So for you to take your time or take the time and watch any of this and give me a chance, hey, I'm thrilled. Now, I'm going to make this my final segment, okay? And I have named it appropriately Tales from the Bygone Room. Now, what does that entail? Well, I really haven't decided as of yet. I haven't narrowed that down. I mean, it could be anything. It could be, and then maybe that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to do anything prepared for this. I'm just going to shoot from the hip and just maybe tell you a story, a little anecdote, maybe do a rant. No, you know what? I'm not going to do a rant, because ending the show on a rant is never a good thing, because it's always a negative thing. It always brings the show, it always ends the show on a down note. So I'm not, forget about the rant part. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give you a story this time, this go around. So I'm going to take you, oh, and by the way, just in case you're wondering, you're probably looking going, how come I can't leave any comments? Why are the comments turned off? Well, that is real simple. Very quick answer. You're not able to leave comments because I am not going to put up with trolls trying to make themselves the star of this show. All right? Because that's what they do. They will invade. They will invade the videos, and they will leave dirty, nasty, rotten, stinking, mean-spirited comments. Those keyboard warriors. And what are you going to do about it? Right? And then other people jump in and either will defend that person or will argue with that person. And everything on the video just becomes background to what's going on down, what's going on down in the comments. Well, I'm going to eliminate that right off the bat. So, you want to contact me? Real simple. Right here. You can email me. Yes, email me at this address, and I will get back with you, as long as it's not a dirty, nasty, rotten, stinking, lousy, troll-infested comment. If it's constructive, like, say, which I know is coming, believe me, your show is too long. You could take each of your segments and break them up and make them into... Why am I doing this? I look like I'm playing a keyboard. I look like I'm playing a musical keyboard. Your show is too long, and you could easily break these up into individual segments and have more things to post each time, and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Hey, I get it. I understand. But you know what? I like long form videos. I like watching them, and I really like doing it this way. So, if you're not into that, and I get it, the longer a video is, the less time you have to fit all the videos you want to watch in a particular day in that time frame. I get it. I understand. So, let's look at it this way. I don't even know when I'm going to be posting a second episode. All right, I'm going to look and see what the numbers are on this one, and who knows? I'll go from there. But first of all, look, this is a vanity project. Okay, I'm not going to monetize any of this. I'm not going to try to monetize this page. This is for fun. This is just me getting my creativity out of my system. All right, just to see if I can do it. Just to see, just have some fun. That's all it is. And I know some people who are looking at this more for monetization are probably taking offense to that for whatever goofy reason they would have. What, you're taking away my viewers. If me doing this is taking away your viewers, really? If it's doing that, then you need to do something with your show yourself. Because let me tell you something. I'm working on a tiny, tiny, tiny budget here, okay? And I see all these other videos that have inspired me, all these other people's channels, and they have some fantastic videos. I mean, the production quality is so cool. It's great. You know, it looks like it's something you'd see on TV. How can I compete with that? Well, you know what? I'm not gonna compete. I'm just gonna do what I do. And if you want to watch, fine. You're gonna get the genuine article right here, okay? I'm not gonna put on airs. I'm not gonna sit here and BS you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just going to try to entertain you and share with you my love and joy of this kind of stuff and the stories behind all this kind of stuff. Okay? Simply put, that's it. That's all. So, now I'm going to move on. All right. I'm going to try to wrap this up very quickly. Story. Let's see. Let's go back to 1995, shall we? Okay, 1995. In my town, there were 3 local comic book shops. And then 30 minutes away, there was 1 local comic book shop. And I was a patron of these for quite some time. And actually, I'll tell you what, there were actually 2 that were 30 minutes away. However, the one did not participate in anything that I'm about to talk about, so I'm excluding that particular one, okay? That doesn't count. All right, so I used to frequent all these comic shops. And I would have to, because it seemed like that not everyone would be getting everything that I wanted to get. I had to keep bouncing around all the time trying to find my books. So, anyhow, I started to notice that they were all starting to get into the, well, take that back, not all, 3 of the 4 were starting to get into action figures. But it was the vintage action figures. At least vintage to us now. So back then it was I'm talking about Superpowers, Micronauts, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. And you know, you would see them behind the counter or down in the glass shelving within the counter, and all in the those little protective little rectangular, you know, little collector's cases, and they were pretty high at the time. I mean, I'll give you an example. There was the Green Arrow one from Superpowers line that I really, really wanted. Well, only one dealer had it, and only one shop had it, and it was $50. I was not going to pay $50. Not $50 outright. That's just nuts. However, I finally broke down when the shop owner went ahead and made me an offer that he would put on layaway for me, and I could just pay him a little bit at a time. I'm a patient person. I said, okay, fine, I'll do it that way. So it took me about a good 8 months to get Green Arrow. But I finally have him, and he's in my collection right now. But I started noticing a trend. They weren't satisfied with just, you know, the older figures. No. They were starting to go to the stores. Walmart, Kmart, Target, Toys R Us, KB Toys, Playland. Any of these places that carried action figures, they would find out when the truck was coming. They would send their employees to the store to try to snag, as early as possible, to try to snag as many of the new stuff. As it was being put on the shelves, they were taking them off the shelves. They were taking them off the pegs, putting them in their carts, and they were gone. And then by the time collectors like myself would get there, nothing. Nothing but older stuff. And this was becoming a very serious situation. It was running rampant. And I would be so disgusted when I'm there. And I never said anything because I didn't want to burn any bridges. But I'd be so angry when I'm there and I'm listening to, because there was at least 2 of these owners that were very belligerent and very proud of themselves about their business practice, and that, you know, how much they would go ahead and send their employees out and get all this, and then the collectors would have to come to them to pay those jacked up prices. Because back then, I can't remember exactly, but I believe those figures. Now, when I say the figures, I'm talking about at the time. It was when the Marvel animated figures were hot. You know, the Toy Biz ones, and like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. And I'll go into more detail about those personally later on, but those are the ones that I was trying to get. And it was very, very difficult. Now, I can't exactly remember what the original prices were offhand. I'd have to look them up. But actually, I do have some of the old cards, so I could probably look and get a better idea of it that way. But I'm not going to do it right now. But I'm going to say they were around, what, $5.99, $6.99, $7.99, somewhere in that frame, that area. And what these guys would do, because they were all guys, all right, they're all guys. What they would do is they once they got all these in, then they would start taking the stickers off. They start peeling off the stickers. Now, the hard time peeling those stickers off. One shop just went ahead and took their label, their stickers, and stuck them right on top. But the other ones just would go ahead and just peel off the stickers, and then put their prices on there. And now, if you're paying that, then they would charge anywhere from $20 to $25 per figure, brand new, on the shelf, or should be on the shelf, or should be on the pegs in the stores, but they weren't because they were all gobbled up by these capitalist. I'm going to be nice here, so I'm just going to say these capitalistic comic shop owners. And I know one in particular that would pretty much make a game of it with his employees, and he would give a bonus to the employee that came back with the most figures. Okay? So yeah, it's just annoying. It was more than annoying, because I would have to go all over the place trying to beat the competition. It's bad enough you have to go against fellow collectors, but then when you're going against the local comic shops, and that's rough. And it's not, nowadays, good grief, your competition's way out there, because you have your investors, your scalpers, your flippers, whatever you want to call them, and then your other collectors, as well as the local comic shops, and now toy shops. And they're all hitting. They're all pouncing on major retail stores, all clamoring for the same stuff. Well, I was dealing with that back in '95. And it really made it hard. And it made it hard for me to, give these very unscrupulous comic shop owners my money for my comics when they're pulling that kind of garbage, not realizing that they're affecting me, and that they wouldn't care. Believe me, they would not care one bit. All they're going to try to do is convince me to go ahead and buy it from them. Maybe they'll even cut me a deal. They never did. I never even asked them. But yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. In fact, I finally came up with a plan. But unfortunately, the plan put a whole lot of miles on my car and took a lot of gas out of my car, because I started to figure out towns that had the Targets, the Kmarts, the Walmarts, Toys R Us, and did not have a local comic shop in the area. All right? That's where I was able to fill in a majority of my my figure lines. but it cost me more in gas and miles on my car than I really wanted at the time. But at least I was able to get those figures at retail. So, that's it in a nutshell. Now, there is a story from again from 1995. It deals with a Toys R Us in the area at that time, and it's a very brief story, but it's a very annoying situation. It's never left my mind. It's always stayed with me, and I'll share that with you next time. Okay? But that's it. That's the story. Look, for all those collectors out there that are dealing with this kind of stuff, you're trying really hard to get the figures that you want without having to pay all the scalper prices, the extortion prices, the flippers, the resellers, the investors, whatever label you want to put on it. Without having to pay all those aftermarket prices, it's very difficult nowadays. It really is. To be able to make it to the stores before other people get there. Especially now with all these toy tubers, all these toy hunters, myself kind of sort of included in that, because yes, I'm doing a toy hunt. I'm including toy hunt videos in these now. And oh, by the way, with the toy hunt videos, you're going to notice that I didn't do a whole lot of talking, and hey, I'm not used to it. I'm not used to doing that kind of stuff, talking and filming with other people present, in the area, and it's just drawing, all the attention's being drawn on me. So, but hey, bear with me. I'll get better at it. Believe me, I will. So, but let's just, you're not alone out there. You are not alone. And I sympathize with you. I empathize with you. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. I do. I really do. Believe me. It's frustrating. It really is. And especially when you really want something so bad and you just can't find it because other people have beat you to the punch. And because you have so much competition out there now. It's just how it is. I know there's the whole pre-order thing, but even that, you're competing with everybody and their brother. I mean, look how many times you go to the various sites to try to get something that just came out and it is gone. It's just how it is. So anyway, that's it. The show is over. I am done. Again, I want to thank you. Also, I want to thank everyone and anyone who allowed me to use their creative content, their intellectual properties. Thank you for allowing me to make their creations a part of my show. You are credited down in the show notes, and also stick around for the credits. You will see yourself there as well, if you even care. But that's it. So, until next time, I'm the Bygone Hunter. This is the Bygone Room. I'm out of here. And I'll see you down the road. Adios.
You're simply the best. Better than I. What are you doing here? What? The show's over. Go. Scoot. It's like the old saying goes. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. All right? So, shoo. Bye-bye. Go. See ya.